to kind of cover it here. I got these pop-ups on my phone. Okay, so the latest news coming out for Dead Island 2 is a neighborhood watch mode. It will see 3 players tasked with preparing for an impending horde of zombies that are going to attack your safe house. So I'm assuming you're going to get loaded into a safe house or a small area where there's a safe house, and you gotta figure out how to set up for a possible infestation of zombies, and you have to try to combat that. The premise of the mode is simple. Over 5 in-game days, you must prepare your defenses by setting traps, finding and earning weapons, scavenging for supplies, and more. To earn these items, players are given a series of different objectives each day that they can pick from, which will range in difficulty from 1 to 5 stars. Objective rewards will include traps, melee weapons, ranged weapons, the ability to remove one type of zombies from the impending horde. Despite the objectives ranging in difficulty, they will progressively increase in difficulty no matter what throughout the duration of the 5 days. Lore-wise, presumably those zombies are closing in. Right, so players may pick 1 to 2 star objectives on day 1, but by day 3, you will be completing 3 to 4 star objectives. Okay, now that doesn't seem like a bad idea, but it doesn't necessarily seem like something that's friendly to single player. Now, I could play around with this mode when it comes out, and maybe I can come up with clever ways of completing one of these solo, but it doesn't sound like they're giving you much wiggle room to complete a game mode like that by yourself. And I think that that's going to land kind of hard for the Dead Island 2 community. Not saying that people don't enjoy playing the game in co-op. As janky and disconnected as the game can feel sometimes for me and Little Mama, we still enjoy playing the game together, even if co-op is not great. So this is interesting to me because in order to make a game mode like that actually work, they would have to go in there and try to commit to tweaking the co-op experience so that way the guest feels just as connected to what's going on around them as the host does, because as it currently stands, that's not a guarantee, especially for PlayStation 5 players. So I'm not feeling this new update that they're proposing for the game. And unless they may want to go in there and adjust it for a single player experience, so that way it can be something that single player slayers can enjoy, and not just. And they're talking about a 3-person crew on this. Well, it's my experience that when you're in a 3-person crew, what little experience I do have in a 3-person party, the game gets bit of a slog. Like, they really crank up the hit points on just even the most average shambler, making it a little more difficult. They become super damage spongy. At least that was my experience the last time I tried to play a 3-player mode, like 3-player co-op. So I'm reluctant to be excited about this new game mode. Sources reveal that the game mode can be very hectic. You think? We're talking about a 3-person co-op, theoretically, which makes even the most average shambler a real chore to take down, all depending. So make sure you have the right teammates heading into the neighborhood watch. Yeah, well, I would say that's a given. I don't know. What do you think about that? Okay, so that was pretty much it. All right, neighborhood watch it's a horde mode. Okay. I'm assuming this is something they're borrowing from Riptide. Again, I didn't play much Riptide. I'm to assume that this is that was in Riptide. And I dare say it wasn't my favorite. I mean, it wasn't my favorite experience from what little I played of it. I wasn't really digging that at all. So that's a little disappointing. Can't say I'm excited about that one, guys. Anyway, yeah, we are continuing to progress through my Ryan run with Dead Island 2. I've been trying to kind of milk the experience, hoping that we would get something new out of Dam Buster for the game, at least before the end of October, but so far it looks like this neighborhood watch thing is the only thing they really have to tell us about right now. Information's been really slow for Dead Island 2. I genuinely hope that means that they're really focused on bringing us something good. You know, something to really sink our teeth into when they bring out some DLC content for this game. Someone had made a comment, I'm not sure where it is. They said something about at least Dying Light 2 is trying to do something with their game, unlike Dead Island 2. And I find that totally funny because when Dead Island 2 first came out, it wasn't a broken mess. Arguably, it's still not a broken mess. It's not. Dying Light 2 was an absolute broken mess. It had very little endgame content. Arguably, it still has very little endgame content. So, yes, I expect Techland to continue to work on Dying Light 2 because that game is still, in my mind, not nearly as close to what they promised us before we all got our hands on it. It's still nowhere near as close to what we thought we were getting with that game. I still remember exactly what what we were supposed to get with that game, and just now, Dead Island 2 showed us, before it came out, it showed us exactly what we were getting, and it was exactly what they said we were getting. It's a standalone game, like a lot of games. It's not trying to be a live service game like Dying Light 2 is. So there again, you would expect Techland to continue to work on Dying Light 2 because they're absolutely trying to make that a live service game, and you have to continue to work on a live service game, whereas Dead Island 2 is a standalone experience with the promise of DLC coming out. All right, they're not the same. They're not the same animal at all. They're not. Dying Light 2 is an action game with some zombies in it that's trying to be some kind of live service thing. Dead Island 2 is a standalone experience. It's a zombie game. It's just a zombie game. It's not an action game with zombies in it. It's a zombie game. So yeah, comparing those two like that, that's some try-hard shit right there. But anyway, yeah, that's all I got for now, guys. I don't know. This Horde mode doesn't get me excited at all. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think a Horde mode would be awesome? It's got to be a 3-person Horde mode, though. Like, this doesn't strike me as something that you're going to have a lot of fun doing by yourself. I could experiment with it to see how far you can get in solo. I'll have to die a lot to figure out, like, are there any strategies that you could work with, right? But I'm not feeling it. Anyway, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in with this recent development with Dead Island 2. I'm not excited for it, but maybe with this update, they'll bring some much needed improvements to the game. You know, like maybe a Game Plus mode. Maybe kind of continue to work on co-op, since this seems like it's going to be a co-op mode of some kind. So, I don't know. We'll have to see, won't we? Anyway, you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will catch you on the flip side.